Welcome to this interview that I'm conducting with Mick Keelty, who was the Australian Federal Police Commissioner for quite a number of years and now serves as an adjunct professor with us in Charles Sturt University. About a third of you or more will be emergency management student majors. Some of you coming in from policing or paramedic or perhaps environmental science, nursing and other disciplines taking this subject as an elective. But all of you will by now be aware that we're focusing on decision making made in time pressured situations. And we're especially happy to have Mick here today to talk to us about a particular bushfire inquiry he conducted last year, and I'll get Mick to fill us in on a few details in a minute. But basically, Mick conducted an inquiry into the Margaret River bushfires in 2011. Margaret River is situated in Western Australia, for those of you who come from overseas. And we're just going to ask Mick a few questions about the perspective of emergency decision making. So welcome, Mick, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Val.
Would you be able to briefly outline the background to the Margaret River fire for those of us who aren't completely familiar with the weather and planning details?
Sure. The Margaret River is an area about 3.5 hours south of Perth in Western Australia. The area is typically surrounded by forest. There is some settlements in the area, some small towns. Margaret River itself is the biggest of all the towns. It has a population of about 12,000, and so it represents what would be the city of that part of Australia. Closer to the beach or the coastline are small villages. These villages don't have a lot of population, but they do have a lot of vegetation, primarily surrounded by coastal heath. The area is typically a holiday area. It's typically got a lot of rental properties, so owners don't necessarily reside in the area, and many of the owners are people who either live in Perth or live in the north of the state. Some even live overseas and travel backwards and forwards to the Margaret River. The area in Western Australia is very much focused on prescribed burning. Their target for prescribed burning is in the millions of hectares each year, about 3 million hectares a year. That part of Western Australia has a target area in the southwest of 200,000 hectares a year for prescribed burns. The prescribed burns obviously are used as protection burns to eliminate old fuel loads. The area of the Margaret River where these fires occurred were areas where the fuel loads were largely in excess of 30 years. So
that's considerable.
The program was in place since 2006 to do the Margaret River fires, but prescribed burning is a very complex task. It requires the alignment of a number of factors outside control of the people doing the burn. For example, you need the wind to be right, you need the soil moisture content to be right, you need the vegetation moisture content to be right, and you need the weather to be right. So, when you line up all those factors, your window to do a burn is very narrow. And for Western Australia, as I discovered in my first inquiry into the Perth Hills fires, where I received expert evidence from the Bureau of Meteorology, the window of opportunity in Western Australia is decreasing due to climate change. So the whole place, I guess, was set for something disastrous to happen. Now, more often than not, that's a wildfire, either caused by lightning or caused by an arsonist. They're very focused on that over there. But of course, in doing your prescribed burn program, you introduce a level of danger that you may in fact start the wildfire, and that's what happened on this occasion.